makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? So I'm super excited for this video because we're going to be playing with a bunch of old makeup. I thought I'd just kind of do a get ready with me, even though I've got nowhere to go, and I could pull out some products that I haven't used in a while. I specifically went through my collection looking for indie makeup that I've kind of forgotten about. I have a few cheats in here for concealer and foundation because there's not a lot of products in that category I've forgotten about because I'm pretty consistent on using them, and the concealer is also not an indie brand, but everything else is indie, so let's go ahead and jump right on into it. I'm super excited about the eyeshadow palette I'm going to be using today, but I thought I'd go ahead and do my face first just because that's my typical routine at this point. I already went ahead and moisturized, but I'm going to go ahead and take my Canon Cosmetics Velvet Veil primer, which looks like this. I was sent this in PR a while back. I've done a whole video where I did a review of a ton of products on Canon Cosmetics if you're not already familiar with them. This is more of like a silicone-y kind of just very soft primer. I have not used it in a long time because I just forget to reach for primers like this, but it is very, very smoothing. So for foundation today, I'm going to go into my Juvia's Place Stick Foundation in the shade Tokyo. Again, I was sent this one as PR. I've been, oh man, I don't know. Man, I wanted to go from the darker shade. Okay, I'm going to just kind of throw that on the middle of my face and grab another shade. I'm going to grab a touch of Nicaragua and put that, I don't know, I'm just going to blend it in the middle because I feel like the other shade's a little bit too light right now. I just like the mixture a little bit more. Anyways, I haven't forgotten about this foundation per se, but I haven't been using it recently because I just was trying to finish off my Makeup Revolution stick foundation, and I've been testing a new foundation out, and I don't know, I've been using a few other things, so I haven't used this in the last month or so, but I know I love it. I love the finish. It's been a favorite since I got it. So I'm just blending that in with this Tarte brush. I don't even think this is available anymore, but it is my favorite brush for blending in stick foundations just because it's so dense but soft at the same time. Alright, so now for concealing, I have 3 different products to go in with, which none of them I have forgotten about. So I am actually going to go ahead and start off with my Anastasia Beverly Hills concealer. This is my favorite for concealing acne. So recently I've been using this first and just popping it over any spots that I have, just slightly blending it in, but then letting it sit while I do the rest of my concealer. I have the shade 0.5. I'm going to go into my Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector, and this is kind of a spoiler. You can see I'm starting to hit pan on it. This isn't my project pan, and it is the tiniest thing, but it takes forever to go through. And what I've been doing is, because it is so awkward to get my finger in there now, just because of it's being lower down and such a tiny little bottle, is I've been using this Artiste brush. Oh, this is the Elite Circle 1R. And it fits so perfectly in this little pot, so I really appreciate it for that. So I normally just pick up a tiny little bit of product and then I pop that on my under eye, just right in the dark circles. And this brush is so smooth that it does not bother my under eyes at all. Doesn't feel like it's tugging or anything. And then normally once I have it mostly blended out, I also go in with my finger just because it is warm and it just helps the product blend in even more, because I really just want this to be a very thin layer. Now I'm going to go into my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in the shade Fair Warm. It's to conceal underneath my eyes, and then sometimes I'll take just literally the tiniest amount ever on my nose just because that area can get a little bit of red. I might throw in a little bit right here. I feel like everything else is covered up pretty well. I try to use the least amount possible, and then I'm just going to go in with a pretty much dry sponge because I'm lazy and blend that in. Alright, now I'm going to go into my Lunatic Cosmetics Labs Contour Kit, which I do tend to forget about, and today I'm just going to be using, I think, this shade underneath my eyes to set. As you can tell, I've used the bronzer a lot. I've made this palette so dirty. I do really like this palette overall, but every time I use it, I'm like, man, I love the setting shades because they're actually light enough for my skin tone. They're highlighting for me, and there's a yellow one that's yellow without being banana, so I love the options. But whenever I'm setting my under eyes, I always forget to use it. So I'm actually just gonna use a little bit there, maybe a touch on my forehead just because I did conceal some acne there. Throw this over right here too, just to make sure that's set. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do. Now I'm going to do something that might make some people cringe, maybe. But I kind of really like the look. So I've been using my LC Cosmetics Skin Reflector Pearly Glaze Highlighter and slightly setting my face with it. I love a glowy finish, but I have been setting my face more just because I've been using the Fenty bronzer because it's in my project pan, and I find the more I use it, the more I realize if I don't set underneath it, it makes it a lot harder to blend out. So I don't know, I really have been digging the look of this. So I typically just kind of, you know, mix it all together on a big fluffy brush and then just lightly set my face with highlighter. And I like to go in this area as well because I just think it looks satiny and really pretty. It's such a natural highlighter that it's perfect for this use, so I like it. I like setting my face with highlighter. I'm not afraid to say it. Alright, for bronzer today, I'm going to go into my Divina Sandbar bronzer, which I haven't been using lately just because I've been using my Fenty one so much, but I really love the tone of this. I think it's a beautiful bronzer. I'm going to grab a little bit more of a like super fluffy brush just to apply this today for the heck of it. I don't know. I'm just going to lightly kind of bronze and contour at the same time because that's typically what I do. To mention, this is the Sigma Spotlight Duster F37, which I don't use that often, but I don't know, I just felt compelled to use it for this today. Okay, now for blush, I thought I would pull out a palette that does not get anywhere near as much use as it should, and this is my little palette here that has a ton of indie blushes, some Makeup Geek bronzers, and then also a ton of indie highlighters. This is an Adept Cosmetics palette. I'm going to take this shade from Makeup Geek, which is called Puppy Love. It's kind of like a pretty mauve. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pop that on my cheekbones. As you can see, it's a pretty pigmented blush. So I'm going to take even just that tiny, tiny little amount that I grabbed and blend it between both cheeks. Oh man, that's more pigmented than I remember. Probably should have tapped it on my hand first. Sometimes I feel like when I take my blush a little bit too high, I like to go back into my powder brush that I used to set my eyes, and I just kind of blend this area so it's not so choppy. Alright, now jumping into eyes, I'm just going to start off with my Anastasia eye primer to prime my lids. Alright, so for my eyes today, I'm going to be using the Glaminatrix Cosmetics Santa Rose palette. I've used this I think maybe once or twice on camera, a few times off of camera, but I definitely want to do more full looks with this because I've kind of just dipped into a shade here and there, and I was thinking today it'd be really beautiful to do a blue look, so I think I'm going to go ahead and take the shade Posy. And also, I got an email from Glaminatrix Cosmetics today. It's just like a mass email, but she was talking about some updates on some orders and some delays right now. And she mentioned that she is a single mom. I just respect her running a business and doing so much and also being a single mom at the same time. It wasn't really something I thought about before I became a single mom, but I'm like, it's a lot of work and a lot of stress and loneliness. I just really respect that, and I was already planning to do this video today, so I was like, well, I think I'm going to pull back my Glaminatrix Cosmetics palette out. And this shade is beautiful. It's like almost a teal, but it's blending beautifully. It has really great pigmentation. So I was debating between deepening the outer V with the purple Nectar or the Steep Green Leaf because I feel like either of those would be a beautiful option, but I think I'm gonna go for the purple. I've just been really into the purples and blues lately, so I'm just gonna grab that on a pretty small brush and throw that in the outer V. So I'm just building that shade up and then starting to blend it out lightly. And I remembered I forgot to mention that I did receive this palette as PR. I'm trying to get better to remember to say that in videos, but I do always have, I have a system in my description box that if there's 1 star, that means that I'm affiliated with my code, because I always say whether it's a discount code or an affiliate code, and then I have the 2 stars, which means that I received a product as PR. Going back into my previous brush and no additional product and just lightly blending over that edge. I'm going to grab a little bit of that purple Nectar on a pencil brush and just connect the lid to the lower lash line. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this really beautiful blue Sandra, and I'm going to pop that on the middle-ish of my lower lash line. Just start blending it out. And then I'm going to dip into the shade Flourish, and I'm going to pop that into that front little portion of my lower lash line. I'm really loving how this look is turning out, but before I do my lid, I'm going to go into my MBA Cosmetics Glitter Foil and Liner FX, which is pretty much like a glitter primer. It's a little bit more liquidy, which is why I kind of forget to use it, but I thought I'd go ahead and use it today instead of my NYX glitter glue because this is an indie brand, again, sent to me as PR. I really didn't think about the amount of products in this video that are PR until just now as I'm saying them one at a time, because really it's not something I think about when I pick out products. It was really just what strikes my mind to use today, but I'm gonna go ahead and apply that all over the lid. All right, now I'm gonna go back into Sandra and I'm gonna pop that on the outer portion of the lid. Just blending it in a little bit. Super, super pigmented. I'm gonna go back into Flourish, which I don't know if you can tell on my lower lash line, but it's kind of like a bluey silver. It's a very pretty color. And I'm gonna pop that on the front of my lid. I really haven't done that much with this palette. Like I said, I've used it a few times, but every time I reach for it, I do a boring look, which is not fun at all. So I'm glad I'm finally doing like a full, bold, colorful kind of moment. The shade is so pretty. And I'm just gonna take whatever's left over on the brush and blend that into the darker blue. I feel like that is such a beautiful look. So for my inner corner, I actually pulled out a highlighter that I bought, and then I realized I could never use it as a highlighter on my skin, and I'm like, it's okay because it's such a beautiful color. I'll use it as an eyeshadow inner corner, but then I never ever reach for it. So I thought I'd use it today, and this is the JD Glow Cosmetics Cloud 9 highlighter, which I don't know if you can see right there. It has a blue to purple shift. So I'm gonna pop that on my inner corner. Alright, so to finish off my eyes, I pulled out my Linda Hallberg Cool Mood pencil, which is such a beautiful, vibrant, bright blue. I forget to use this as much as I should. Actually, I need to sharpen it. It's just such a beautiful cobalt blue. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and throw on some mascara, and I'll be right back. Okay, for highlighter, I'm dipping into my Sandy Grace Cosmetics Pink Lightning. It is an oldie, but a goodie, one of the best loose highlighters out there. Okay, so for lips, I have the product that gave me the idea for this video. This is my M Cosmetics lipstick in the shade Comfy. I literally forgot this lipstick even existed. I was going through my collection, I saw it, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I have that. I opened it up, I prayed that it was still good and hadn't gone bad because it's a little bit older. And I mean, it smells very lipsticky, but it doesn't look bad, so I'm going to keep using it. This is a definition of forgetting about a makeup product because I recently did my video on my entire M Cosmetics collection. I talked about all their eyeshadows, their highlighters, and I didn't mention the fact that I own a lipstick from them, which I don't think this is on their website anymore, but still should have mentioned in my collection video. I completely forgot. And this is actually the reason I tried M Cosmetics in the first place. It's because it's such cute packaging. So this is the finished look. I love how it turned out, and I feel like it's that much more fun just because I played with nothing new today. All products that I already had in my collection. Most of them I've had in my collection for quite some time. So I'd love to know if you've been shopping your stash and if you've rediscovered anything that you've forgotten about. So if you enjoy my content, you want to hear more about indie makeup from me, definitely make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.